Once you're well versed with the pre-sales process, it is equally important for you to know about the sales process as well. Let us discuss that now. You will follow this process while you're pitching a product to a customer. This process is called OTPEC or OTPEC and is divided into 5 stages. The first letter O in this process stands for opening the call. There are 5 guidelines to open a call. First, introduce yourself and your organization. Then, seek permission to continue the conversation. Then state the purpose of your visit or call. Next, introduce your product or service. And last but not the least, make a good first impression through your appearance and conduct. Now, when do you open a call? You must open a sales call only when the customer is receptive and can devote some time to you. If the customer is not immediately available, it would be wise to fix an appointment for a later date. It is your responsibility to make your client comfortable and create an interest in your product. And you must keep searching till you find a receptive person so that you can effectively open your sale. Second letter D in OTPEC stands for developing the need. At this stage, you make the customer aware of the problems and its implications. Thereby, you develop the customer's need. For example, a senior citizen will find it difficult to visit a branch for basic banking transactions such as check and cash deposits. Therefore, the banker can develop the senior citizen's needs for home banking services. As a banker, ensure that your customer has all 3 elements: money, authority, and need. Your role in this process is to generate needs for the customer according to his requirements, and also to convince him to act upon those needs. This way, you're identifying your potential customers. And then you should use the BSA or the background specific agreement technique to identify his buying criteria. In the BSA technique, you probe into the customer's background information, identify specific problems that he faces, and then generate an agreement which will meet the needs of the customer. So first, when you get his background information, you try and discover the customer's potential problem areas. Frame your questions in such a way so that you can pull out his background information. Ask open probes like, "Sir, I believe you're planning to renovate your office. Could you give me an idea of the furniture you're planning to purchase?" Now, to identify specific problems, use open and closed probes. Get deeper into the customer's potential problem areas. This will help you to discover his need for the product. Importantly, try and maximize the pain that the problem causes to the customer. This way, you will be able to prepare him to buy a solution. For instance, in the last example regarding the furniture, you can ask the customer that considering the amount he had spent last time, it must have been frustrating to see the furniture wear out so soon. Once the pain is maximized, the agreement to need will be generated automatically. For this phase, use closed probes. Find out his high priority and low priority need. Now comes your responsibility to match buying criteria with the product profile. It means matching the buying criteria with the strengths and weaknesses of the products. Remember that the customer buys a product whose product profile matches his buying criteria most closely. Sometimes the strength of a product may become its weakness, depending on the customer's buying criteria. In case a prospect's buying criteria does not match the seller's product profile, his buying criteria may be channelized to produce a closer match. In this process, ensure that you as a seller remain in control. However, the buyer should feel that he is taking the decisions. Even if the product profile matches the buying criteria, the buying criteria should be re-emphasized. It is important to reiterate all the major buying features of the product to the customer at the time of developing the need for the product. This will ensure that the customer does not change his mind later. Now you propose a solution that satisfies the customer's important concerns. This is the third stage of the odd pick process. Before the customer makes a decision on what he wants to buy, he will still want to know more about the options. This is where you come in. Your job is to inform the customer about the options that your bank offers as per his needs and requirements. At this stage, it is important for you to summarize the buyer's need and the buying criteria. Do fabbing of your product, that is, inform the customer about your product's features, advantages, and benefits. Then suggest your product as a solution to the buyer's needs or problems. It is more effective to involve the buyer and allow him to feel and use the product. It is important for you to understand that most buyers are influenced by someone, perhaps a friend, a colleague, or a relative. So never ignore the influencer. Also try to build up a rapport with the influencer. The next stage is eliminating doubts. After you have proposed a solution, you need to address the customer's concerns about your offer or your company. Once the customer has identified the product he would like to buy, he may seek clarifications about the product or service. Only if you're well aware about the product will you be able to eliminate his doubts. This is the most critical stage in which you must listen carefully to the customer, clarify and resolve his doubts, handle his objections, and determine the exact objections. Try to identify the sales step you did not go through properly and then repeat that step. The loan customer might ask questions like, what are the different modes of loan repayment for in your bank? Or do you accept post-dated checks of other banks? The customer will continue to ask you questions until he is satisfied. Finally, move on to the next stage, that is, closing the sale. Now the customer decides to purchase the product or service. In this step, you will guide the customer in the process to own the product. This is the final stage in the selling process. This could mean getting the order or getting to the next stage by getting a commitment from the client. This is actually the phase where we generally start the next customer sales cycle. Closing is very important, and as a banker, you must spend a good amount of time to close the sale with an impact. There are, however, a few things that you must keep in mind. 1. Never overcommit. 2. Don't let a good relationship work against you. And 3. Learn from your mistakes. It is thus critical to keep learning from each sale and from each experience so that you do not repeat the same mistakes.